the lap of a whore who has sold herself out to weaken and to destroy you. I want you to think about it. You're going to like this one. Our watchers are sending me all this good stuff here, and I've got some really, really good scriptures to give here with you. Okay? The Transportation Safety Administration. The Transportation Safety Administration. A direct result of 9/11. Remember, we talk a lot about paradigm shifts. We talk a lot about how to get the people, or the sheeple, from point A to point B. How to get them from here to there. And so you have to start blowing things up. Things, smoke has to rise in the air, and ashes have to fall, and dead bodies have to be laying everywhere in order to get people from here to there. People are motivated. People are motivated by fear. If a guy walks into a convenience store with a stick that fell out of a tree that he picked up on the way in and holds it like a gun and says, "This is a stick up. Give me all your money," the convenience store clerk then reaches under and pulls out a baseball bat and begins to wail on this guy. Okay, it won't work. If, however, the guy comes in with a loaded pistol, points it right at the head of the convenience store clerk and says, "You're 6 seconds away from death. Give me everything that is in the safe and the cash register." See, that works, doesn't it? We're motivated by fear. And so 9/11 had everything to do with fear. This is why, as Bible Christians, I almost put my hand on this one here. As Bible Christians, God has not given us a spirit of fear. And so when we see buildings blow up and bodies laying everywhere and planes crashing out of the sky, when we see those things happening, when we see what will be the next worst event, when we see that, we as Bible-believing Christians are going, this is not going to work with me. God has not given me a spirit of fear. And so the TSA starts out being given authority, granted authority by the federal government of the United States of America to ensure that everyone that walks onto a commercial airline in this country, everyone that walks onto there has to go through a screening process. I've flown enough airplanes. I have been through this screening process. I've had to pat down. I've had everything done. I don't like it. I've looked at alternate methods of getting from here to someplace 1,000 miles away. It doesn't exist. It's just part of it. The good news is that for right now, as of today, if you don't want to be patted down, don't fly a plane. Okay, or don't get arrested for drunk driving or anything like that. So if you don't want to be patted down, don't fly a commercial airplane. That's how it is today. Now tomorrow is different because once the TSA is in place in the airports, the government, those who are in government and those who run government never sit around in a big meeting at a big table with glasses of water and donuts and everything like that. They never sit around at a table and try to discuss among themselves how they are going to lessen their power and their grip over their people. They never do that. It doesn't happen. They always sit around and they think, how can we do this? How can we do that? The TSA is no different. And so now the TSA, you need to understand the spiritual implications of practically everything that's going on in this world. When I read this story, I'm going, I got it. When I walked into the studio today to sit down to do this, God says, you're not ready yet. I got something else I want to show you, and I'm going to show it to you from the Scriptures. Here's the story. The TSA, no longer just in the busy airports of America. Now they started moving into the bus stations and the train stations. So you still got your car, right? Here it is. Viper teams, VIPR teams, enhance security at major local transportation facilities. Following the Madrid train bombings, TSA, stop right here. You have 9/11, and then you have the London bombings, and then you have Madrid, Spain. And Madrid, that was like way over on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. That happened over there. The TSA said, we're going to use this to step up what we're doing here. It's through fear. TSA stepped up its efforts to enhance security on rail and mass transit systems nationwide by creating and deploying visible intermodal prevention and response teams comprised of federal air marshals, surface transportation security inspectors, transportation security officers, behavior detection officers. Remember this, okay? That movie Minority Report, where they're watching what they're precognitive. They're going to guess that you're fixing to perform a crime. We can tell by the way your eyes look today. Okay, we can tell. Behavior detection officers and explosives detection canine teams, Viper teams, over the past 2 years have augmented security at key transportation facilities in urban areas around the country, including New York City, Buffalo, Syracuse, New York, Los Angeles, Boston, Providence, Rhode Island. Viper teams work with local security and law enforcement officials to supplement existing security resources, providing deterrent presence and detection capabilities. That means the crime hasn't actually committed, and we're not going to let it. Okay, we're going to go and just arrest a bunch of people because we think something might go wrong, and introduce an element of unpredictability to disrupt potential terrorist planning activities. Here's another one. TSA releases Viper venom on Tennessee highways. Okay, so stop and think about this. They were in the airports, in the bus stations, in the trucking terminals, and now the railways, and now the highways. That's where you are. If you want to get anywhere, you have to get in your car and you have to go there. Vipers are right there. If you thought the TSA would limit itself to conducting unconstitutional searches at airports, think again. The agency intends to assert jurisdiction over our nation's highways, waterways, and railroads as well. TSA launched a new campaign of random checkpoints on Tennessee highways last week, complete with a sinister military-style acronym, Viper, as a name for the program. As with TSA's random searches at airports, these roadside searches are not based on any actual suspicion of criminal activity or any factual evidence of wrongdoing whatsoever by those detained. They are, in effect, completely random. So first, we're told by the U.S. Supreme Court that American citizens have no Fourth Amendment protections at border crossings, even when standing on U.S. soil. Now TSA takes the next logical step and simply detains and searches U.S. citizens at wholly internal checkpoints. Okay? You stop and think about this now. Think about what's going on here. Okay? TSA comes out of the airports, they come out of the bus terminals, and now they're alongside the roadway. Okay, and you're traveling down the highway, minding your own business. They say, pull over. Okay, you have to pull over. They have a right to search. If they see that your eyes glance over to the left or to the right for anything, they'll go, terrorist, got one here. Okay, turn your life upside down. The terrorists are not the ones driving up and down the road. The terrorists are now becoming the ones who are pulling everybody over. Okay? And by the way, this name, what do we say this was? Visible Intermodal Prevention and Response. I mean, who sits around and comes up with that name? It's a spirit. Okay? You know what a viper is, don't you? It's a snake. It's a serpent. This is that which was spoken by the prophets, and I'm going to show you this. Okay, I'm going to show you how I want to show you how we got to where we are today. There's always a reason why. We're angry. We can be mad. We can say, you know what, this is not right. We have rights as Americans, and on and on and on. But the honest truth of it is, we got here because we wanted to get here. It is a natural result of the sins of America. And I'm going to show you that from the Scriptures. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 6. The burden of the beast of the south into the land of trouble and anguish, from whence come the young and old lion, the viper, there it is, and the fiery flying serpent. You know who that is. Okay, that's the dragon. And they will carry their riches upon the shoulders of young asses, and their treasures upon the bunches of camels, to a people that shall not profit them. For the Egyptians shall help in vain and to no purpose. Therefore have I cried concerning this, their strength is to sit still. Now, let's go back. There was a time in this country when we didn't need the government's help to defend our land and our territory and our property. We didn't need it because by and large we knew that we weren't going to get it. Our forefathers knew that they could not pick up a phone and call 911 and have the police come take care of everything. This is why the founders of our country decided to arm every citizen in the United States. This is why. This is why Japan would not invade the continental United States. You know why? They said there's a gun under every blade of grass. There's guns. If we try to go into the continental United States, we will be shot dead. They will, and not the military, not the police. The people will. So there was a time in this country when we weren't afraid of terrorists. We weren't afraid of Billy the Kid. We weren't afraid of any of these guys. We defended ourselves. I kind of like it that way, but that's not how it is anymore. We decided through fear. We decided through fear. The fear of 9/11, the fear of Madrid, the fear of London, fear of all the things that have happened. We decided that because of fear, because they made us afraid. Egypt always represents like the world or the new world order, the new world power. By the way, the Pharaoh of Egypt always had what is it that he had sticking out of his forehead? Was a viper, was a serpent. Okay? So we live in a time now where we said, you know what? We think we want Egypt to help us. We think we want the new world order powers to come in and keep us safe at night. This is what we've done. We've traded our freedoms in for our protection. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Instead of us, as Americans, saying, we're going to let God protect us, we're going to let God fight our battles, we're going to protect it ourselves. Instead of us doing that, they said we want the way the things are over in Europe. We want how we like what we see in China. That they don't carry guns in China, so maybe we ought not carry guns. Maybe we're trusting in Pharaoh and trusting in Egypt. He says in verse 3, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your what? Your confusion. Here we are back with Babel again. Okay, the land of confusion, and that's what Pharaoh and Egypt represent. And the vipers are a result of that trust. Instead of us trusting in God, we started trusting in Egypt. We started trusting in the New World Order powers that could keep us all safe. And then I want you to get this. Now here's the end result. Here's why these things have happened. The same chapter, Isaiah chapter 30, where it says, you quit trusting in God, you started trusting in Egypt. Here's how it started. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 8. Now go, write it before them in a table. Note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come forever and ever, that this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord, would say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits. I'm going to stop right here. Okay? I'm a firm believer that the sins of America are to be laid at the feet of the pulpits of America. The reason, you know why we've gotten so disgusting as a nation? You know why we've gotten so sinful and immoral as a nation? You don't want to know why? Because it was the responsibility of the preachers, the pastors, and the evangelists, and those who held a Bible in their hand. It was their responsibility to preach the hard truth of the Word of God, to preach the condemnation of the law and the grace of God, to do both. It was their responsibility. But now we have little sissy pastors behind pulpits, patting everybody on the back, giving them sex tips from the pulpit. Instead of preaching against fornication and adultery and uncleanness and lasciviousness and the love of money and greed, instead of preaching against these things, we have pastors now that are patting everybody on the back, giving them smooth words. We have people who hire these pastors and say, we don't want you to preach that. We don't want you to tell us that we're wrong. We want you to tell us that we're right. And God says, okay,